Good afternoon and thanks for joining us. I'm Judy Simpson. Our environment has long been a top priority in Vermont. We take great pride and invest significantly in conservation and our working landscape. And we're blessed to have and support the natural beauty of our state, from our lakes and mountains to our diverse ecosystems and wildlife. The future of our environment and natural resources rests largely on education. So today we're going to focus on a national leader in environmental education, the University of Vermont. Joining me is Dr. Nancy Mathews, Professor and Dean of the Rubenstein School of Environment and Natural Resources. Thanks so much for coming in.
Good morning, Judy. It's a pleasure to be here.
Now, you were appointed Dean in July of 2014. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what led you here to Vermont.
Great. Well, I am thrilled to be here. It's an honor to be serving a school of this stature and this visibility throughout the country. I spent 19 years at the University of Wisconsin-Madison as a wildlife ecologist and environmental studies professor. And for many years studied white-tailed deer behavior and chronic wasting disease. And in the later end of my research career there, I moved into administration, leading the reaccreditation for the university and leading the Public Service Center. And so when I looked around after spending a fair amount of time in my research and going into administration, and this wonderful opportunity was presented to me, I jumped at it because I love Vermont and I had done much of my graduate research in the Adirondacks, and it was an opportunity to come back to a place that I love at a very awesome school.
Now, what does it mean to teach environment and natural resources? What are some of the things that are taught?
Right. Well, in my career, I'll tell you a little bit about what I've done, but I've focused a lot on wildlife behavior and ecosystem management, and looking at how we manage land to accommodate human impacts and to preserve wildlife and to manage wildlife to reduce the impacts. But our school has 6 different programs that are all focused on different aspects of natural resources and environmental sciences. We have environmental studies on one end. I use them as bookends. Environmental studies on one end, interdisciplinary program that focuses quite a bit on liberal arts education. And bookend on the other side is environmental sciences, which focuses quite heavily on more quantitative sciences. We often look at this as being a pathway to a quantitative research career, perhaps balanced by a liberal arts focus on social sciences. And in between, we have the traditional natural resource disciplines of wildlife and fisheries, forestry, parks, rec and tourism, and then natural resources. So those 6 different majors in our program.
And so how many students are in the school?
We have about 620, and really exciting. This year we're growing. We've jumped up a bit in terms of our numbers, and we're one of the smaller schools and colleges on UVM's campus, but it's growing.
I guess it's the 3rd largest major on campus?
Environmental studies is the 3rd largest major. We have a very large graduate program as well, so about 110 graduate students in our program, split evenly between doctoral students and master's degree students, and that's growing as well.
Now, you mentioned earlier to me that there's something called community-oriented research. Tell me about what that means.
Yes, community-based research. This is a type of research that is probably one of the most challenging research pathways to take, because it requires that a faculty member work very closely with people in the community, that they are having community members participate and engage in the research, and many of our faculty members actually take this approach to the research. It's a challenge to do because it requires a strong collaborative program and many, many hours invested in this type of community building and partnership building.
But it's great for both sides of the road, really. I mean, it's great for the school and the students, but it's also great for our community.
It is, and one of the things that it does is it brings the community into the research world so they understand what the questions are, what the processes are, and at the same time it allows the faculty member to listen to the community members and to hear what their priorities are, and then to build their research in a way that addresses some of the highest priority questions that community members might have.
Now, the Rubenstein School is housed in a living laboratory. What does that mean?
Yes, this is very exciting. So our primary academic home is in the Aiken Center. And this is a building that was renovated in 2012. And you can see from the video that this was a very engaged process. Students participated not only in the planning of the building, but in the design and development and implementation of those plans. And what you're looking at there in the front of the building is our atrium, or our solarium, which is a passive solar area. It has a number of plants, and it feels like an arboretum of sorts. But it does an important thing. It helps to warm the building up from this passive solar. It's south-facing. And on one end of the building, we have something called the eco machines. And you're looking at this right now. These are biodigesters that help purify the wastewater. And when they're fully operational, they will be saving the building about 70% of its potable water in recycling water for use in toilets and flushing. So it's really exciting to see how that's come together. It was designed by one of our graduate students who studied under John Todd, who was a faculty member who pioneered this. We're also looking at these, a brand new faculty member, Eric Roy, who is an eco-design specialist, and he will be looking at removal of phosphorus from water, starting with looking at eco-machines and biodigesters, but doing his work primarily in the environment. So the living laboratory concept is exciting. The students are studying the building and gathering data from the roof. One of the
we saw pictures of them planting grass. That was up on the roof.
That was up on the roof. Yeah, there are 8 ecosystems up there, different plant types, and we look at rainwater filtering through those and measure particulates and the clarity of the water as they go through different plant communities.
So talk a little bit about what you think that the Rubenstein School looks like from the perspective of today's undergraduate student. Is this unique compared to other colleges and universities?
It is, and that was one of the things that drew me to the university and to the Rubenstein School. It has a big reputation for being a very engaged, hands-on learning community. And what's surprising to me is that we have about 90% of our students, our undergraduate students, are from out of state. They come here because they have a chance to work in the environment. About 40% of our undergraduate classes have a field component, such as seining in the lake here, and being out to contextualize what you learn in the classroom, to gain the hands-on experience. So students come here because there are many opportunities like this. The other thing that we have a very strong focus on is service learning courses. And students understand, and I think faculty are very keen to get students working with community partners, nonprofits, municipalities, school groups, and the government, so that they can understand what their careers are like and build those skills up that are not the kinds of skills that you learn in the classroom, but only on the job, and things that you need throughout your career.
It's just as important to know what you don't want as what you do want, too. And it's a good opportunity to say, well, maybe that's not for me.
Exactly, exactly. I think students do that as well.
I mentioned at the beginning of the program that you're a professor as well as a dean. What makes the school unique from a faculty perspective, do you think?
Well, I think this school has a very special community sense to it. And in my almost 2 years of being here, we have faculty who have been here for many, many years, and we have a number of new faculty. And the one thing that most people reflect on when they say what they like about the Rubenstein School is that we are a close-knit community, that we care about faculty members' development, we care about their scholarly excellence. So we have a nice balance in the school of having a community sense, at the same time having a very intense focus on our scholarship. And I think that really comes out to new faculty, and certainly from the existing faculty who've been here, what they value most about the school.
Now, a lot of research obviously goes on. Can you give me some examples of some of the projects that the students and faculty are working on?
Right. Well, the last slide that you just saw was Professor Jenny Stevens, and she is the Blittersdorf Professor for Sustainability Policy and Science. And Jenny's been here for just about a year and a half now, and her focus is on the transition away from fossil fuels to renewable energy. She's working with Green Mountain Power and other entities in the community and bringing students into her work. She's a big believer in service learning to help students understand the future of the environment, the importance of not relying on fossil fuels. And she actually wrote a very compelling book recently about the transition of energy systems. So that's a great example of one of the areas that we're investing in and ensuring that all of our students are exposed to sustainability concepts understand some of our historic reliance on fossil fuels, where we're going in the future. And I'm really proud to say that she's leading the conversation, certainly on campus, but Vermont is leading in many ways. And so the opportunity to capitalize on some forward-thinking people and agencies in the state is really a great mixture to be showing students that it's possible to make these transitions.
So what are the goals that you have for the Rubenstein School in the next 3 to 5 years?
Well, the school is in a great place right now. We have a wonderful composition of faculty, outstanding scholars, and I think some of the biggest goals I have for the school include making sure that we can maintain our focus on experiential learning, that we provide high-quality internships for the school, and that relies on, it's part of my job is to actually fundraise for the school and ensure that we can provide these types of opportunities, making sure that there's strong partnerships with the community and faculty members who are given time to actually help students invest in those internships. We're also focusing on a new initiative following up on the greening of Aiken, the LEED certification that we have. We have now transitioned to a Rubenstein Net Zero, and I hope that by the end of 2016, so it's ambitious, that we will have all of our academic buildings be carbon neutral. And this is allowing us then to pull in less reliance on fossil fuels, but really our whole energy needs should be transferred to solar trackers, for example, and energy saving measures. So I think that this is going to be an exciting statement for the university to have the entire school go to a net zero stance for all of our academic buildings.
Well, it certainly proves that it can be done.
I think it can, yes, we're pretty excited about it.
One thing that we had talked about earlier before we started taping this particular program is the focus on education. In other words, having your students go out into the community and help educate kids.
Yeah. So we have a new faculty member. Her name is Professor Trish O'Kane, and she has started a service learning course, which I think is a national model. She did this in Madison, Wisconsin about 5 years ago. And this model is pairing up an undergraduate class with Flynn Elementary, and they have established an after-school program for the students where the university students are now mentors for the students at Flynn Elementary, and they go out and they learn about birds and they learn about the environment, and they not only cultivate an appreciation for nature, but more importantly it gives the students, college students, a chance to mentor young students to appreciate the environment, but show them a pathway to the university to help them understand that university education is achievable. And these are important messages to be sending all young students, but especially those that are in underserved communities that really need the empowerment and need the encouragement and ideas of how to see themselves as being college-bound students.
And be out of the classroom and learning something fun.
That's it. Yes, that's the hook, and I think you can't underestimate how important that is to have the informal mentoring relationship and fun while you're out there doing it.
Now you mentioned that admissions were up. Why do you think that is?
Yes, our school has about a 15% increase this year when overall the university is slightly down. And one of the things I think is happening is that as students get through their high school careers, they have heard for many years the importance of climate change, the impacts of it, and sustainability. Our school has a very big reputation, primarily because of the Gunn Institute for Ecological Economics, our strong focus on sustainability. So the reputation is there. This is a great place to come if you want to really invest in learning all things environment, but really coming out with a strong grounding in sustainability studies and sustainability science. So we draw about 90% of our students from out of state. We have the largest percentage of out-of-state students in our school, and we think it's because of the reputation that students are hungry to dive into the sciences and environmental sciences in a way that they were tantalized by in high school.
Well, it will impact them the most.
Absolutely.
Well, I want to thank you for joining us today. If you have any questions or comments for the Dean, or you'd like to learn more about the Rubenstein School of Environment and Natural Resources, you can check out the website on your screen. It's uvm.edu/RSENR. You can also call the Dean's office at 802-656-2911. Thanks so much, Nancy.
Thanks for having me.
That's our program for today. I'm Judy Simpson. We'll see you again next time on Across the Fence.